What's up? Can you hear me? What's up, Travis? Welcome to another stream. Just kind of chilling at the moment. Gonna have nothing in particular planned for the stream. Just wanted to chat and chill for a sec. We watched your Scrabble video with my mom and we both liked it a lot. She's a big crossword puzzle person, so it's interesting to see the ways word games can be alike. Oh yeah. By the way, can everybody hear me okay? Can you still hear me if I sit up here? The mic is a little bit far away from me at the moment. But yeah, word games are actually pretty similar. Like a lot of the same skills are used across different word games, whether it's Scrabble or crossword puzzles or even stuff like Wordle, Boggle, all kinds of stuff like that. Like it's all kind of the same stuff, like anagramming and knowing like common combinations of English words and things like that. But I appreciate that. I think the Scrabble video came out really well. I can turn it up if it's low. Actually, let me, hold on a sec. I'm gonna change the mic. All right. This mic is better. Hello, hello, hello. Check, check, check. Let me know if it gets too loud. Also, the mic is a little high. I feel like I need to bring the mic down. One sec. I mean the camera down, not the mic. Did I bring it down too low? No, that's fine. That's perfect. All right. Professional fucking content creator over here. Thank you for the kind words, John Dahl. Lulu sending love from UK. Sending love back to the UK. What sitcoms am I watching right now? None, I don't think. I don't watch a lot of TV these days. I watch a lot of YouTube. That's about it. Sometimes I will catch like an old show. But yeah, I'm not like seriously keeping up with anything these days. In the past, I would really get into a sitcom if I wanted to do a video about it. But I haven't done that recently. Did I watch the H-Bomb Bomb yet? I did watch the H-Bomber guy video. I watched like 90% of it. Like I basically kind of just skipped around to the parts that I was the most interested in, and then eventually ended up watching all of the parts. I think I've watched all the parts except like maybe the very beginning. But so I've essentially watched it. It's definitely generating a lot of buzz in the community. But yeah, that's H-Bomber guy is good at doing that. I think H-Bomber guy is like one of the best YouTubers out there. I played Scrabble on Thanksgiving. Thankfully, I had a partner that was better with getting points. That'll help. It's been a while since I've played like doubles Scrabble. I've always only played one-on-one pretty much, and especially more recently I've only played one-on-one. But yeah, having a good partner definitely helps. Like if you know you have a partner that is very good at finding high scoring plays or finding bingos, you can just kind of like set up little lanes for them to just make words. It's pretty good. I mentioned showing a different type of thoughts on your public Facebook page than other platforms. Could you talk more about how that, which sides of your personality do you show off? Do you show on different platforms? I think Facebook is just closer to, it's probably like the least filtered version of me online, although it's still a pretty filtered version on the public posts. But on Facebook, I interact with way more people that I actually know, so I'm more likely to like act like myself. I don't know if I can describe it in like a tangible way, but obviously I'm still aware that it's public, so there's obviously still some filtering there. On other platforms, like I'm not even really active on other social media platforms. So it's you can't even really compare because I don't really post. I stopped posting on Twitter several months ago. When I did used to post on Twitter, it was more like making content than anything else. Like on Facebook, I don't feel like I'm making content. I just feel like I'm posting just like anyone else. But when I was on Twitter, I felt like I was making content, and maybe that's the difference. On other platforms, I'm like actually feel like I'm making content. But on Facebook, I'm just like shit posting just like anyone else. Who will beat Mr. Beast record? Mr. Beast record at what? Like getting the most views? What's up, Adrenaline? What's up, Rabbit Dude? Have I seen Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes? Nope. I did see the GTA 6 trailer. I mean, it looks amazing. It's crazy how much better the graphics keep getting. Like, it's kind of weird because GTA was also it was always kind of like a cartoony art style. Like that was part of the aesthetic of GTA, and now it's like borderline photorealistic. Like it still has a little bit of the cartoony style, but it's like just kind of like hyper realistic now, which is a little bit weird. But I'm sure it's gonna be a great game. They're always good. Like if you're watching from 2036. Oh shit. Where to find D&D table? When you say D&D table, do you mean a D&D group, or do you mean like an actual table, like a physical table? Group? Well, so I guess it depends on your situation. In my experience, there's no shortage of people that are interested in playing D&D, especially now. The interest in it seems to go up every year. So if you live like in a community where there are other people like your peers and stuff, you should maybe just try asking around. You might be surprised at who's interested. The easiest way to get a group together is to run the game yourself, because most people don't want to be the dungeon master because it's a lot of work. So that's kind of been my experience. I get people all the time, once they find out I play D&D, they're like, oh man, I've always wanted to play. Can you teach me how to play, or can you teach me about it? So there's way more people into it than you might think. But if that doesn't work, there are plenty of places to find groups online. You can join Discord communities. You can go on Roll20. You can go on Reddit. There are Facebook groups. Yeah, there's a lot of places to find people to play with online. I feel like that's the easiest way. Playing in person to me is 1,000,000 times better than playing online, but sometimes that's all you can do, and it's still fun when you play online. But I would just ask people, or just say, hey, I'm starting a group. Does anybody want to play? They might play just to try it out. They might not have even thought about ever playing, but I don't know your situation, I just basically asked my closest friends if they wanted to play, and they said yes, and now we're all really into it. But not everybody may not have people that they have access to like that, so I don't know. Am I thinking about getting a PS5 and getting GTA 6? Probably not. But I'm sure it'll come out on PC eventually, and I'll get it on PC. I've still never completed the main story on GTA 5. Favorite flavor of gum? I don't know. I don't really chew gum. Not a gum guy. The only time I chew gum is to like freshen my breath if I feel like I need that. So that's like the only type of gum I chew. What do I think about plagiarism in video essays? How does YouTube place this? Yeah, I saw H Bomber Guy's videos, but I don't know. It's a very, very broad question. Like, what do I think about plagiarism? I mean, it's bad. You shouldn't do it. And I don't know, how does YouTube, is plice a word? Is that supposed to be splice? I don't know what that means. I assume it's a typo, but I don't know what it's supposed to be. Oh, police. That's what it's supposed to be. Okay. How does YouTube police plagiarism? Well, it's tricky because it's pretty easy. Like, if you think someone plagiarized you, it's pretty easy to file a claim and get YouTube to take the video down. The problem is that system can be easily abused. So it's kind of a tricky situation, but I don't know, like, if it's very clear, obvious plagiarism, it's easy to get the video taken down. So I don't know, like, or at least in my experience, like I recently had someone plagiarize me. Like, someone took one of my videos and translated it to Russian, but it was the word for word script and video from my, and it was like the word for word script and visuals from my video just in Russian. But I was just like, I just clicked the button and told YouTube, is like, hey, this dude plagiarized my video, can you take it down, please? Or can you send them a notice to take it down or get a strike or whatever? And they took it down. So but as H Bomber Guy talked about in the video, there's many examples of people getting false copyright claims, false claims, and people can do that sort of in a vindictive way, is try to get people's videos taken down just because they don't like them. So yeah, it's a tricky situation. And then there's things that are like borderline cases of plagiarism, which it's like, does it rise to the level of plagiarism that the video needs to get taken down? Reaction videos are like, a contentious topic in that sort of realm. And then like the person Illuminati that he talked about in the video, that's another case where it's like borderline plagiarism, where it's like she like tells you the source that she's using, but she is sort of misleading in terms of which parts of the source are made up, or which parts of the source she's using and which parts she wrote herself. So that's, those are like borderline cases. Like, I think it's obviously kind of sketchy and kind of unethical, and we know what you're doing, but does it rise to the level of plagiarism to where like something needs to be done about it, Have I read any good books recently? I'm almost done with Truth of the Divine by Lindsay Ellis, which is good. I recently read, I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, which is good. Very good book if you want to learn the basics of like financial intelligence. And those are probably the two most recent books I've read. Lindsay Ellis's first book is good too, but I read that a while ago. I read very slow. I read like 2 books a year, so I don't get to read that many books. Although that's something I'm going to be working on, is learning how to read more books and figuring out how to read more books faster. I just don't feel like there's like never much time. There's not many times where I feel like I'm just going to sit and read a book. I just rather would do other stuff, you know? Do you have any predictions for the future? Predictions regarding what? Shasta Lightfoot, thank you for the $10. These, I've never looked through all of the different animations you can do with super stickers, but I appreciate that. Appreciate that. GTA 5 is good, but the story's kind of a mess. I guess so. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I feel like, oh, my alerts worked. I thought my alerts weren't working. Cool. But yeah, I don't know. The GTA stories are always all over the place. But the thing about GTA, like, it's really cool, but it gets like repetitive, you know, because most of the missions are roughly the same thing. You know, go drive somewhere, go shoot someone, go collect something. You know, they mix it up here and there, but it gets kind of repetitive. But those games are just so cool. I love sandbox type games where you have a lot of freedom and you can just go do whatever you want. I like games like that. I think that's why I like D&D so much. How did you find out that a person had taken your video and translated? I actually, the only reason I found out is because someone who is a viewer of my channel told me. Like, a fan of my videos noticed it, and I guess they speak Russian, and so I guess because of that they get Russian videos on their homepage and stuff, and so they alerted me to it. That's the only way I would have found out, I think. And the video, their video, because it was one of my most popular videos, so their video was doing well. It had like 200,000 views or something, so they had already made some money off of it. Yeah, audiobooks are one solution, but the problem is I've already got so much stuff going on. There's like so many podcasts, so many videos. It's just, where do I fit in a new audiobook? I just don't know. Yeah, the Hat Boy. My sister has a lot of like half an hour before bed. That's what you have to do. You just have to say, I'm going to set this time for reading. It's not about trying to make extra time. It's about, I need to set this time. And that's, as I said, I've been looking more into reading more, and that is like, you know, one of the basic bits of advice that you always get from everyone is you got to set time to do it. Have your thoughts on Sam Harris changed in any way, or is everything been the same? Have they changed? I mean, not really, not in a big way, but I also have not really kept up with Sam Harris. I haven't followed him in a long time. I don't know what he's up to or what he talks about these days. So I guess not. I mean, it's interesting to think how cool I thought he was a long time ago, because I don't really feel that way at all anymore. And I like feel that more and more as time goes on, but that's not really my views changing. Predictions regarding anything? I don't know. It's really hard to answer broad questions. I feel like people think that broad questions are easier to answer than specific questions because you can make up whatever you want, but they're actually harder to answer. My prediction is that humanity will probably destroy itself. I give humanity like 1,500 years maybe. Probably, no, that's probably a little too pessimistic. Maybe more than that. Say like 4,500 years. But yeah, humanity's definitely going to destroy itself. That's my prediction. How do you think they made money off the Russian video? How did they make money? Assuming that AdSense works in Russia, that they definitely made money. Wow, 200K off your content is crazy. Maybe you should make a Russian channel. Well, I mean, it's the big YouTubers who can afford it dub all of their videos in many languages because it just brings in a new audience. I think Mr. Beast was one of the first to really do that, but a lot of YouTubers dub all their videos in multiple languages, which is smart. You just bring in more of an audience. But that costs money, and I don't really have the budget to pay people to dub my videos at this moment. I've thought about getting at least like maybe Spanish captions on my videos, but I can't really justify it budget wise at the moment. If you were challenged to play in a Scrabble competition in another language than English, would you accept that? For what language? I mean, I'd give it a try. I would lose. The language would have to be Spanish, though. That's the only language that I know more than 0. Eliminating phone time has helped me to do more analog things. Yeah, for me, it's like sitting at my computer. That's mainly what I do all day, is just sit at my computer. So I would have to like cut some time out of that. Have I read any of Marlon James' Dark Star trilogy? I have not. Sam Harris's trash racing IQ debate is unscientific. Yeah, I mean, but that's one of the many things that he has talked about. But yeah, I think that his take on that was bad. And it's not even that it was bad. It was just kind of ignorant. Like it was, that's kind of what I realized about Sam Harris is like, he's a very smart guy in certain ways. And this is the big thing. This is just a thing that everyone needs to understand, is just because someone is smart or knowledgeable about one thing doesn't mean that they are smart and knowledgeable about everything. And a lot of these like public intellectuals like Sam Harris and, you know, people like that, Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all these like scientist people, these people that basically like they're famous for being smart. You have to really check what they're saying when they're talking about something that isn't in their expertise. And Sam Harris is very guilty of that a lot. And that's something I realized. So a lot of the stuff with the race and IQ stuff, I genuinely think he thought he was being objective. But when it's like when you look into it, it's like you just truly don't know what you're talking about. And listen, I'm not an expert myself, but when you just look at all of the evidence and research, and then just like listen to his arguments, it's like, oh wait, he actually doesn't know what he's talking about. So always think critically when you're listening to people, even people that you really like and trust. It sucks when the advice is just reasonable and requires you to change and maybe lose out on some stuff rather than a magic pill that solves everything with no cost. Yep, that's life. Life sucks. I've been reading Lost at Sea, the John Rawson mysteries recently. Would recommend. Word. There's like so many books. I think once I like get my reading habits together, I'm gonna just put out like a big request for books to read. Like a maybe just ask the audience for suggestions. How do you see the public appeal Dumpty pushes instead of actually focusing on actually winning in court? Dumpty? Are you talking about Trump? Is that a person? I'm like basically familiar with some of the stuff going on in the world, but I'm still a bit checked out from politics. Do you think Dominic Mysterio will eventually turn face? Will Sami Zayn ever win a belt? Well, Sami Zayn did win the tag team championship, and he's been the Intercontinental championship before, so he's won belts. Will Dominic Mysterio ever turn face? Probably not anytime soon though. Do I think evangelicals will go down with the ship of Trump? I mean, the way that politics works is people will support the guy until there's the next guy. As soon as there's the next guy that they feel is the guy, then they'll just jump ship. I mean, that's just kind of how politics works. So I think there are some people that are going to go down with the ship of Trump, assuming that happens, but then they'll just jump to the next guy, you know. Do you feel alienated from black folk because you're into things that are considered erroneously as white, like D&D? I don't think D&D is considered white. Maybe it was like in the 80s and 90s, or maybe even 2000s, but I don't really think that's the case anymore. I understand the question though, and I think that's, I mean, those are things that you kind of stop caring about when you become grown. Like, I think sometimes there are things when you're younger, you kind of want to, you know, fit in with a group or fit in with your culture, and you may feel a little alienated if you have different views than someone else, like that maybe you think represents the group a little better than you do. But when everyone's an adult, truly no one gives a shit, dude. Like, I'll go, you know, I'll go hang out with my cousins or something, and I'll talk about how much I like D&D, and I got some real hood cousins, and you know, they'll talk about their hood shit, and we're all friends, and it's fine because we're grown, you know. I just don't think people care about that much. Once you become just like, once you learn who you are, become satisfied with who you are, you can represent your culture in the way that feels good for you, and it's fine. Everyone's happy. All right, so there's a lot of comments, so if I get behind, forgive me. Russians won't get paid by Google. They're under hard sanctions. Yeah, I don't really know exactly how all that works, but it's also possible that the video was not made in Russia. It just might be in the Russian language. I don't know. I don't know much about Sam Harris, but I heard an interview with him and Robert Sapolsky. It was really good. They talk about how our acts are determined. Have you heard anything about determinism? Yeah, I have a basic understanding of determinism. I feel like determinism is kind of like the prevailing view of most philosophers these days. But again, that's Sam Harris's expertise. Sam Harris, I believe, has a PhD in philosophy. That's one of the things that he is actually an expert on. So I'm happy like to hear what he might say on something like that. Like when it comes to like sociology and race and politics, that's where he says a lot of weird stuff. Dubbing's kind of annoying for me. I couldn't find a way to change the language per video, so I had to change my whole app to English. Well, you can definitely change the language per video, although what you change it to will probably become the default for future videos, and you'll just have to change it per video. But yeah, I mean, are you on mobile or on PC? Like, because it's not really that hard to do. I don't know why you had trouble doing it. How do you feel like using AI for yourself to do things like captioning videos that you might otherwise pay a human for? So AI, at least in my experience, AI is not very good at it. Like it does like 80% of a good job. And honestly, like I kind of do use AI to caption videos, but like I don't pay people to caption my videos. I do it myself, and I use AI. Well, I use in the editing program DaVinci Resolve, there's a AI transcription thing that will get you about like 80% of the way, and I use that. If you're talking about translating other languages, since I know that it only gets 80% of the way in English, I'm positive that it probably is even worse in other languages. So I'm not gonna just do that without checking it. If I can get it 80% of the way, I would still need to hire someone to fix it and make it 100%. But maybe I just haven't found the right AI programs. But yeah, as far as I know, AI is not very good as transcription. At least not good enough to just do it and just put it out there. How's my D&D game going? It's going well. Having a lot of fun. Running Curse of Strahd, which is very cool. Very, very dark. Horror type of campaign. We're in Hell did a good video on public intellectuals through the lens of JVP. Yeah, I'd be interested in checking that video. I haven't seen it. But yeah, Jordan Peterson's another great example. Like I think he said he has a lot of interesting things to say regarding psychology and stuff, but when he talks about politics, he sounds like a maniac. How are you, or are you not affected by the loneliness epidemic? I have major depressive disorder, and I'm looking for ways to put a dent in the loneliness. Well, I don't know like what people exactly mean when they mean the loneliness epidemic, outside of people are just more lonely now than before. And I think I'm affected by it, but I think also personally, I don't know if I'm the best person to ask, because I've kind of dealt with loneliness for a while, like most of my adult life. and only recently am I like getting better about it. So I may not be the best person to talk about like a recent loneliness epidemic. I'm sure that it hasn't helped, but like for me, I'm like a really, which maybe some people might not guess, but I'm a really extroverted person. I like really, I don't necessarily enjoy being alone, and I really enjoy being social and being around other people. And so the pandemic like really kind of did a number on me, because obviously you can't hang out with people as much, but it also kind of forced me to be alone a lot, which ended up being kind of good for me, because you kind of learn to appreciate being alone, or at least I did. May not work for everyone. Isn't our culture as Black Americans really an attempt at white American culture, because we refuse to connect ourselves to our ancestors on the African continent? Well, I think it's just when Black American culture is different from African culture. I think if someone wants to connect to their African heritage, that's perfectly fine, but it's definitely two different things. And also I would say that Black culture is definitely distinct from whatever white culture is. I mean, that's kind of the interesting thing about America, is there's so many different cultural influences and experiences. And I think that the culture of Black Americans is definitely distinct. And in fact, I think probably maybe some people who are African might think it's kind of cringe for Black Americans to pretend like they're the same. But that's just a speculation. I don't know if that's true. I mean, GTA 5 was a mess because I had a hard time knowing who was the main character until the very end. I mean, I could see that. I haven't beaten it yet, but you look tired. Do I? I feel like that's not a thing that you should say to people. I don't I mean, it's fine. I'm not like mad, but just like in general, I feel like people consider that a rude thing to say. I'm not tired though. I woke up not too long ago. Maybe there are other things that make me look like I'm tired. Is Biden too old to run? I have no idea. The only person that knows that is Biden and his doctor. This is amazing that I caught this live. I love your channel and the way you think about things. Your perspective makes me look at ideas in a new way. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for the nice comment. Which edition of D&D did you start with? I started with 5e, the most recent edition. I'm a fairly newish player. I mean, compared to like really old school players. I mean, I've been playing for many years at this point, but I started with the 5th edition. I've never played any other edition of D&D. I have COVID. Do you have a cure? Nope. In all honesty, what's a book recently that you've really enjoyed? Well, I just talked about a couple books. I'm finishing up The Truth of the Divine by Lindsay Ellis, which is pretty good. The first one, Axiom's End, I like that one a lot. And then I'm one of those guys that reads a lot of like personal development type of books. And the most recent one that I read that I liked was I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. So those are the books that I've read. And it's a cringe title for a book if you've never read it, but it's actually like a really solid book about just financial literacy, basically, which is important. What are your thoughts on the current major push by BetterHelp to sponsor many big YouTubers, especially now that they're under investigation by the FCC? I don't know. I don't really have enough details about that to comment. I don't really know. I've heard about controversy with BetterHelp, but it's hard for me to parse it because I've really not looked into it to myself. And whenever there's, honestly, like, this may be a little cynical, but whenever there's a big uproar about something and a bunch of people are jumping on the bandwagon, I immediately am suspicious of it, because people will jump on the bandwagon and just be really shitty and combative about something without having any idea what's going on. And then it just spreads and spreads until just there's like this dogma about something that may not be true. So I have to look into it myself. I really don't know. I would like to think that big YouTubers would vet sponsors before working with them, but who knows if that's the case. Especially if they see like other people doing it or other people working with the sponsors. So maybe they just see, oh, it's like, oh, they did a sponsorship show, it must be okay, and then they don't look into it. So I don't know. BetterHelp sounds like a good thing. Like the pitch for it is good, but who knows how it's executed. I have a friend who works in a high-tech internet security firm, and he brags all the time that he uses ChatGPT to write his code for him. Yeah, that seems to be one of the things that ChatGPT is good at, is writing code. And I think it also like debugs code for you as well, which is cool. Favorite retro game? I mean, I have so many favorite retro games. The first one that popped into my head is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. So I'll just say that, because that's definitely one of the best games ever made. I've been checking out videos on solipsism. Your thoughts on this subject? You mean like the philosophical idea of solipsism? Isn't that like isn't that like the only yourself exists or something like that? Like the only thing you can be sure exists is yourself? If so, that's probably not right. Would you do another video about Blackalicious something to music? I'm not sure, like another video about Blackalicious or another video like the Blackalicious video. Either way, I mean, I'll make a video about anything if I feel like it's a good idea and interesting. Have I been enjoying the videos I've been making lately? I have been enjoying them. They're like some of the most fun to make that I've made. I have Axioms in. The second one is on my shelf, so I need to get to that. Yeah, it's a wild story. Axioms in was really good, and Truth of the Divine is interesting. I think I like the first one better, but it's just kind of like after you read the first one, you just kind of want to know the story, and so you're just kind of reading because you want to know the story, and the story is cool. What's my favorite movie? There's a lot of candidates, and it kind of depends on what mood I'm in. But I always say some combination of, like, I'm a big Tarantino fan, and my favorite Tarantino movies are Kill Bill and Jackie Brown. So I always say those two. And then Terminator 2 is up there. Scott Pilgrim versus the World is up there. And then if by favorite movie we mean not necessarily the movie that I think is the best movie, but the movie that I love and will watch forever and ever and never get tired of, then that movie is definitely Rush Hour. It's rather insidious. They have allegedly sold private medical information and not properly vetted their therapists. Mickey Atkins is a therapist creator, has a lot of info to start. Yeah, I've heard a bit of the controversy. But it's strange to me that is true at the same time that so many people are still working with them. Like, why are people still working with them? That just seems so weird. And not just like, and it's not just like fringe YouTubers. It's like well-established, well-known YouTubers, and YouTubers that are like known for, or at least that have maintained an aura of like public responsibility. So it's a bit weird. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm lucky, but like all of the sponsors that I've worked with, or at least recently, not ever, but like recently, are sponsors that have been vetted by somebody. Maybe I'm lucky to work with people that vet their sponsors, but it's just weird. And as far as I know, BetterHelp is not one of the sponsors that the Nebula folks work with, but it's just weird that no one is vetting these sponsors. What kind of content would you create if you had all the resources of Mr. Beast and had already done all you could philanthropically? All you could philanthropically is kind of a loaded statement, but I have no idea, man. I think the highest what's the word I'm looking for? The most ambitious project or most ambitious idea that I have for my career at this point is to become a producer of other people's work. So that's probably what I would do, is try to use my resources to help other people make cool stuff that I couldn't make myself. So if I had just had a bunch of money, I think that's what I would work on. I think, like, This is one of the reasons, and I promise this is not like a fucking sponsor read, but this is one of the reasons why I like being a part of Nebula, because Nebula is that. It's like of some people that came together and raised some money and used that to help other people make stuff. Because the way that the internet works right now is it's heavily based on advertisers, which is not great. Like, it's better than nothing because it allows people to get free content, but it's not the best because it's literally like a popularity contest where whoever the most people like gets the most money. And that's a bit weird. Like, I don't know, like it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I do believe that I do agree with sort of a merit-based system. Like, the people who make the best stuff should profit the most, in my opinion. But I still think that people who make good stuff should be able to make a living and be comfortable. And that's just, the ad model doesn't do that, you know, doesn't make that happen. So I like when people create things that sort of subvert that model. That's why I support stuff like Nebula and Patreon and things like that. So that's basically, that's maybe what I would do if I had a bunch of money. What's up, Fojo? Yeah, people saying they're not aware of it. It's just so weird to me that they wouldn't be aware of it. Like, I barely pay attention to the world and I'm aware of it. Maybe it's just one of those things where they're just waiting it out. Like, they're getting their money and just waiting it out. And then like, if it does turn out to be something bad, they can just say they didn't know. Maybe they're still under a contract with the sponsor. That's true. Yeah, because I've never done this personally, but some YouTube channels do make long-term contracts with sponsors, or they'll do a deal, but the video won't come out for several months or even maybe over a year. So that's definitely possible. I'm most likely going to move to a new state that I've never been to. I will have little to no family or friends nearby. Do you have any advice for moving and adjusting to a totally new place? Well, you know, I don't actually have a lot of experience doing that. I've lived in the same city for pretty much my entire adult life. But if I was in that situation, it just kind of depends on what you're into, like, and what kind of person you are. Like, for me, like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you're here, but I'm a pretty outgoing person. I'm not like a loud person or like a talkative person, but I do like to be social, and I do like to meet people and be around people. So if you're that type of person, you know, simply making yourself being a social person, it's like, I mean, people say it's like hard to make friends, but really the first step to making friends is just to be social and talk to people. Like, I honestly don't think it's that hard. But you have to actually put yourself out there. You have to go out there and just be nice. And, you know, people will like invite you to stuff, or people will, you know, want to hang out with you. So that's one thing. If you're going there for like work or something, you may, if there's anyone cool at work, you can maybe reach out to one of the coworkers, and just, you can even be honest about it. You can just be like, hey, I'm new in town. I just want to see what's going around, you know, see what's up. What can I do in town? want to meet people, etc. A lot of it is just being courageous and putting yourself out there and just going places and talking to people. Like, it's kind of awkward, and if you have social anxiety, it's really hard to do, but just go talk to people. Most people are friendly. Can I sponsor you and just have you say this video is sponsored by Mad Scientist Assistant? He's just a cool dude and isn't selling anything. You can absolutely do that. As long as you aren't actually selling anything. Because this is like a mistake that I made early in my YouTube career, where someone gave me a bunch of money to, it wasn't even a company, it was just a dude. But they gave me a bunch of money, like several $100s, to promote their some project they were working on. It was like some kind of film project or something. But the film was very just like cringe and bad and weird, and it's just one of those things you shouldn't do. Like, it looks bad on you, even though you got paid for it. Like, don't promote weird cringe stuff. But if you're not selling anything, sure. I was cool with Nebula until a silent second thought for support in Palestine. Did that happen? Wait, did that happen? That seems unlikely. Where did that happen? I didn't hear about that. That might involve some like behind the scenes stuff that may not be discussable, but yeah, I completely missed that. I'm looking at it because I didn't know about that. I don't know. I have to look into it. But you know, like Nebula is like a bunch of lefties, so it seems very unlikely that they got kicked off for that. Well, not a bunch of lefties, but it's mostly progressive liberal people who are generally in support of Palestine. So I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I've been thoroughly shocked that there are so many, as this was a huge scandal about 2-3 years ago. Yeah. Mad Scientist Assistant, thank you for the $2 Canadian. This stream sponsored by Mad Scientist Assistant. Well, there you go. Appreciate it. What is some music that I think is slept on? Music that is slept on. I don't know. I don't keep up with music, really. I don't think that there's, well, I don't really know of music that's slept on. I don't think. There's so much music out there these days. But I do think that people who are like picky about music are doing it wrong. You know, there's like people that are like, I listen to everything, or they're like, well, I don't really like country music or electronic music or techno or dubstep. It's like you're missing out. There's a lot of good stuff in like every genre. Or people like, I don't really like rap music. It's like, you just got to find the rap music that's good. That's the only take I have on music. It's all good. Well, not every single piece of music that has been made is good, but it's all good. Be open-minded about music. That's all I would say. But as far as like specific music acts, I don't know. I don't keep up enough. I'm moving for a job. I'm not worried about making friends. I was curious about what to watch out for in terms of financial traps, scams, and the best way to find a roommate to pay rent. Okay, well, the way you phrased it, because you specifically said, I'm not gonna have any family or friends there. It sounded like you were looking for friends. I don't think moving to a different place changes. Like, they're the same scams and traps exist everywhere. I don't think moving creates new scams, but and the best way to find a roommate to pay rent, I don't know the best way, but there's plenty of ways. You can put it on Facebook. You can, you know, ask around. I think there's a lot of online solutions to finding roommates. I see people post on Facebook all the time looking for roommates. I met your channel with the Average Joe video. I was thinking, would you consider making a video on A Shot of Love with Tila Tequila? I feel like your style of video would be awesome for it. I've thought about looking into more shows like that. The thing about it is I would have to see if there's an interesting story to tell about this show. I know some people will just do like a review or a recap of a show, and I don't really want to do that. That's not really that interesting to me. I want to find an interesting story about the show, and there may be an interesting story. I just don't know. I've never really seen it. But yeah, I've thought about looking at other shows like that to see if there are interesting stories to tell. Like I thought about making a video about The Simple Life with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, because I think that show is genius, and it kind of I don't know, it was a weird show because it kind of made everybody think that those two women were really stupid. But when you watch the show, it's like very clearly an act, and it's very clearly intentional comedy. But people, I don't know, like, it's like when people want to be outraged or feel superior, they will like ignore obvious troll. So I don't know, that's what I found interesting about that show, but I don't know if I'm gonna make that video. I have to think about it. But yeah, Robert, I may not be the best person to ask because I've lived in the same place most of my life. Have I played the Xenoblade Chronicles series? Nope. It wasn't because they were supporting Palestine, it was because they were celebrating the death of Israelis. Well, that makes more sense. I would probably kick you off my platform if you did that as well. But again, I don't really know the details. But I'm going to look into it because I didn't know. And I work with Nebula, so I want to know what they're doing. But it just seemed very unlikely that someone would get deplatformed or kicked off for supporting Palestine. In fact, because I'm pretty sure other people have done that. Other people who make content for Nebula have publicly supported Palestine. I mean, longtime follower of your channel. Appreciate your work. Appreciate it, Tony. I have to work now, but I'll definitely watch a vid by you on the Simple Life. Yeah, I've thought about it. Although I'm a little bit. I haven't really been working on any like media related videos lately. I don't know, my channel is kind of all over the place right now. I hope you all can bear with me while I figure out what the hell I want to do on this channel. Right now I'm just making making videos about like learning stuff and investigating communities and things like that. That's kind of where my head's at right now. Like my last two videos may not seem very similar. Like I made a video about boxing and then I made a video about Scrabble. And they seem like two completely different things, but basically what both of them are is me getting interested in sort of a random community and topic and just deep diving into it, you know, way more than anyone needs to. That's kind of the common thread between those, and that's kind of what I'm been thinking about lately. I've been really inspired by the channel Answer in Progress, if you're familiar with that channel, and they do a lot of videos about just kind of learning stuff, and I like that. I want to learn stuff, so that like they're a huge inspiration for what I'm doing right now, and eventually this will kind of mold itself into something that makes sense, so just bear with me. Here's a little fun fact about the show. It was not only 100% fake. Tila had a boyfriend behind the scenes. It got a season 2, making up a story that she was dumped, and even got a spin-off show. That's interesting. I mean, I want to say that I knew that, or at least I heard about that. And I remember seeing it. Like I've never watched the show in a whole, but I remember like it just randomly coming on MTV or whatever channel it was on, VH1. And it definitely looked fake. But a lot of those shows look fake. But yeah, I don't know, that might be something interesting to check out, to be honest. I also like, you know, I don't know. I kind of like do the opposite of what you're supposed to do on YouTube. Like on YouTube, when you have a video that hits, you're supposed to just make more stuff like that. Well, not supposed to, but like if you want to maximize views, it's best to try to make more stuff like that, because obviously people see that and it's like they want to see something else. But the thing is, if you do that, you might end up becoming known for that thing, you know? And do I want to be known as the guy that covers trashy reality shows? I don't know. But again, if the videos are good, if the stories are interesting, then I'll do it, you know? But if I'm only doing it because my Joe Schmo video did well, then that's the wrong reason. Is there any subculture you've gone down the rabbit hole on that you suggest others to check out? I don't know. I mean, it's usually it's stuff that just kind of appeals to me. I can't really say if it'll appeal to you. I think, well, I do think everyone should play D&D. That's a subculture that I'm like fully in. I haven't just gone down the rabbit hole. I've set up shop and bought an apartment in the rabbit hole. So that's one. Everyone should play D&D. It's a brilliant game and it makes you happy. Outside of that, it just kind of depends on what you're into. You know, like, I really like pro wrestling, but that's not everybody's jam. Even Scrabble, like I still play Scrabble all the time. It's fun. And I think it's kind of a good alternative to chess, because chess is a really hard game. Not saying Scrabble is easy, but it's definitely easier than chess. So if you want something that's like just as mentally stimulating and just as rewarding to get better at, but less difficult, then I'd suggest Scrabble. Due to low recruitment, you think military might bring back the draft? I would be surprised if that happens. I don't think so. And is it true that there's low recruitment? I don't know if that's even true. Does it need to make sense? I love the chaos. Well, if enough people love the chaos to where the videos actually get views, then it doesn't need to make sense. But as of right now, the videos don't get many views. And the reason for that, I think, is because people don't know what to expect when they click on a video. So there's less confidence, I think, that the video will be something that people like. And so my theory, at least, is that I just need to keep making consistently okay content that kind of fits at least somewhat of a niche, so people will know. It's like, oh, this is probably going to be like the last video, and I liked the last video. Right now, I don't think that's happening. But again, if people, I think there are channels that get away with chaos. It's possible. So if I can figure out how to make that work, then sure. But that's the problem, man. You know, YouTube is my creative outlet, but it's also my job. So I have to figure out how to make it lucrative. But you know, the people that do watch, I do appreciate. And hopefully I can figure out a way to find the balance between, you know, making sure that I'm financially taken care of and also getting to be creatively fulfilled and just make the stuff that I like to make. Saw you were live, so I had to ask, how many apples have you eaten today? 0 apples. I've actually not eaten much of anything today yet. I kind of do this thing where I like unintentionally fast a lot of the time. I just wake up and then just don't eat for a while. What did you think of the Cowboy Bebop live action? I actually did not see it. I heard it was weird. The irony about reality talent shows is that the losers are more successful. Is that true? I guess that's often the case, huh? I mean, but you know, at this point, or at least back then, a lot of people were using those shows as just launch pads for their personal careers. So it wasn't really about winning. It was just about getting on TV as much as possible. I've watched you so long that I feel like I know you, even though I know that's not true. Have you ever run into someone who thought they had more of a relationship with you because of your content? Yeah, I mean, yeah. I haven't had anything like super weird, I don't think. But I think everybody is a little more, if someone who's watched me a lot, they're always going to be a little more familiar than what is appropriate. I mean, that's pretty, that happens frequently, I guess. Because I mean, and it kind of makes sense because it's like they've seen me a bunch of times, but I haven't seen them ever. So they're obviously going to be a little more, or not obviously, but often are like more forthcoming and assertive than I would expect for a stranger to be. Or they might like expect certain things from me. Like you know, when I was making a bunch of political videos, I would get people try to have political debates with me, you know, in public or something, which is like, that's not what I'm here for. I don't want to do that. Not that I get like recognized in public all the time, but when I do, that would happen, you know, a not insignificant amount of times where people just want to talk about politics. One time I was at a bar and this guy came up to me and just immediately started talking about how much he hated Anita Sarkeesian or some shit like that. It's like, bro, I'm hanging out at a bar. I don't want to talk about Anita Sarkeesian. Favorite SpongeBob character? Sandy. You need a moneymaker brand and then a side hustle. FD Signifier has the light work channel. Yeah, I've seriously considered making another channel, but I have to, I don't know, it's a lot of work. Running a YouTube channel is a lot of work, and running 2 YouTube channels is more work. So it's a little difficult sometimes, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure it out. Like I was thinking about maybe doing a video essay channel separate from, like, do a different channel that's separate from the video essay channel. And then I really love D&D and I've always wanted to make content for it, like content about it. So I was thinking about making a D&D themed channel, maybe like do some, you know, actual play live streams and stuff. But again, that's a lot of work. So we'll see. You'll never know true power until you've tasted the testicles of a man who has wronged you. Real quote said in the Cowboy Bebop live action. Interesting. Okay. Parasocial relationships tend to overrule intrapersonal relationships due to modern tech. Yeah, I can see that. Tekken 8 opinions. Looks cool. I love Tekken 7, so I'm sure I'll love Tekken 8. I haven't followed it too closely. I've watched some videos and stuff. But I'll definitely play it because I'm a big Tekken guy. Well, not a big Tekken guy, but I'm a fan of Tekken. I played a lot of Tekken 7. I haven't played it in a while though. GTA 6 thoughts. I'm sure it's gonna be good as GTA. I don't know. My only thought I mentioned earlier was that it looks too realistic. Like I always thought GTA was supposed to be like the cartoony style of game, but the graphics in the trailer look almost, you know, photorealistic. So it's like, what is happening? But it's gonna be good, you know. Every GTA game is good. Have they made a bad game? Maybe like one of the, you know, PS Vita games or something was bad. But they're all good. Even the originals, like on PC, are amazing. It's just a they found a formula that worked really well and they ran with it. But yeah, one channel work, one channel creative. Yeah. I think I might just need to get like a creative partner to just help me like come up with ideas and help me make videos and stuff. Because the idea of running 2 channels, which I know people do, but the idea of running 2 channels just seems like a lot of work. But maybe I'm just being a lazy brat. I just need to shut up and do the thing. Just join the chat. We're already talking about testicles. Okay. It's an unfortunate time to join the chat. You ever play competitive Pokemon? Shit's hard but fun. I've never played it actually. But yeah, it looks cool. I think that might be right up my alley because, you know, I like competitive stuff. But yeah, I don't know anything about it. That might actually make a good video. Would people watch a video about me playing Pokemon? That might be too within the gamer niche. And this isn't really a gaming channel, but might be interesting. If you could create your own breathing technique in Demon Slayers, what would it be? I don't know what that means. Breathing technique and Demon Slayers. Create your own. I don't know what that means. With Scrabble video and you mentioning you like D&D, I'd suggest looking even deeper there for topics. The board gaming and RPG communities have a lot of interesting things going on, at least for me. Oh, definitely, for sure. Do I watch D20? Favorite campaign? I do watch D20 religiously. I'm a huge fan of Dimension 20. My favorite campaign is the Unsleeping City, easily. But I think my second favorite is Starstruck. But yeah, Unsleeping City is the best one. So good. It's fun. Give it a shot. Try it out for one video. You might have interesting insights. Yeah, the thing about... So whenever I make a video, especially about something that is different than what I usually talk about, I try my best to make the video accessible to people who don't know about the thing. Like, I think everybody's heard of Scrabble, but you don't need to know how to play Scrabble in order to understand my Scrabble video. And like... I made a video about boxing. You don't need to know anything about boxing to understand and appreciate the video. It seems like it would be harder to do that with Pokemon. Maybe not. Would I do a nostalgia video of Link to the Past? I don't know. I mean, I don't really... Again, like, for me to make a video, I need to have a good story to tell. And I don't know what story I would tell about that, really. But if I come up with something, then sure. Nothing's off the table. Do I read One Piece? Nope. I don't know much about manga or anime. I watched a little bit of anime, you know, like 30 years ago when I was in high school, or I guess 20 plus years ago. And I've seen anime here and there since then, but I've never really kept up. And I definitely had never read manga. What's up, George? Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are surprised when they find out that I don't watch anime or manga. But I will also say part of the reason for that is I don't watch anything. So it's not necessarily specifically something against manga and anime, but I don't really watch TV or movies either. The only TV and movies I watch nowadays are MCU stuff. The only media that I consistently consume is YouTube. But also growing up, I feel like anime wasn't good, and that maybe is a hot take. I would like to think that it's better now because there's so much of it now, and you know, people have had time to you know, refine their storytelling and things like that. But the anime that was really popular when I was in high school wasn't good. Like, I get Dragon Ball Z. Like, I totally appreciate Dragon Ball Z. It's cool. I get it. But was the show good? No, it wasn't a good show. Or even like some, like the only one that I really, well, there were a few that I liked. I did like some. Like, I love Cowboy Bebop. I think that's like a masterpiece. I also got really into Naruto when I was in college. But some of the other ones that were popular, like what were people watching? Like Trigun was really popular. Is that show good? Like, people love that shit, but it's like, this shit's boring and silly. Or like anime, like back in the day, the main problems with anime was that it was like super weird, esoteric, and hard to understand. And people, for some reason, people like that about it. It's like, oh, it's like, you know, it's up for interpretation. It's like, no, it's just confusing. You know, like an example of that is Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's just a really confusing show. Like, what the hell's even going on? And also, anime had a lot of like, the pacing is really weird in some anime shows. Like, it'll be like 30 minutes where absolutely nothing happens. And then all of a sudden there's like 30 seconds of super intense action. And people are like, no, that's just how anime is. It's like, no, that's just bad pacing. It's bad storytelling. But that's what it was like in the 2000s when I was in high school. I'm sure it's better now. And from what I've seen, it seems to be better now. It's not animation because Western cartoons were fine back then. And maybe I'm biased because I'm a Western guy. But there were plenty of great Western cartoons. It's just the animes that had this problem. It's just like the quirks of anime back then. But again, I think it's better now. I think maybe the Western animators, you know, they took the good parts from the Japanese animators, and the Japanese animators took the good parts from the Western animators, and now everything is just in harmony and it's better now. But that's one of the reasons why I kind of never got into anime, because I thought it was bad when I was younger. Also, a lot of anime is like needlessly exploitative and gratuitous. Like it'll be like a totally innocent show about something really interesting, but there's titties and shit flopping all over the place for no reason whatsoever, and that's very cringe. I mean, I understand the reason for it, but it diminishes the. And listen, I'm not a prude. I like titties as much as anyone else, but it diminishes the storytelling when you've got just like gratuitous sexuality that's like unexplained or unmentioned in the show. And that was another big thing with anime growing up. And I will say that that still exists today as far as I can tell, but maybe it's a little bit better. And again, I'm not a prude. In the right context, that's fine. Like sometimes something is supposed to be sexual and sexualized, and that's the point, and I get that. Or even erotic, you know, sometimes something is designed to be erotic, and that's perfectly fine. But sometimes they just throw that in there randomly and it's just like, what's going on? You're taking me out of the story because there's titties everywhere. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on a rant about anime, but I feel like I have to defend myself when I say why I'm not into anime, because people think I'm like weird for not liking anime. It's like, well, it's because anime was weird when I was growing up. Ghost in the Shell is actually a really good example, because Ghost in the Shell is another, like, the Ghost in the Shell movie is a masterpiece, and I think that the nudity in that show makes sense in the context of the show. It's fine, you know. And I'm obviously, it's done at least partly because boys like titties, but it also makes sense, you know. It doesn't like distract from the show, really. Maybe a little bit, or from the movie. Like, I can't remember. Maybe one of you can tell me, or tell me what this anime is. But a friend showed me an anime recently that I think it's about zombies. I think it's about a bunch of high school kids that are living in a zombie apocalypse, or maybe it's not even apocalypse. It's like some world where there are zombies, and then they're high school kids. And it seemed like an interesting show, but there's just like titties flopping around, and they don't even mention it or talk about it. And it's like, what the hell's going on? Like, is this... am I the only one seeing this? Does this not take everyone out of the show? Is this not ridiculous? So, I don't know. But my friend who showed it to me is like, really liked the show. So, and I do think that once you're like so into a culture, you may be like, you have lower standards. Like, you don't hold it to as high of a standard as someone completely new would, which is fine. I'm the same way. Big example for me is MCU. I'm a huge MCU fan, and a lot of people are like totally sick of MCU movies. And I'm like, well, I think they're good. But I get it. You have higher standards because you're not a fanboy like I am. And I think that probably applies to anime. But anyway, that happens in video games a lot too, where it's just like, can I just enjoy the game for what it is? And I feel like I sound like a prude, but I promise you I'm the opposite of a prude. Like, I'm pro titties, I promise. But I'm pro stories more, I guess. What I think of the Marvels. I like the Marvels. I think basically my main takeaway from the Marvels is I forgot her name. What's the actress who plays Miss Marvel? I forgot her name. But my Iman Vellani, yeah. Put her in more stuff. That's my main takeaway from the Marvels. She's dope. I think she carried the movie. But yeah, the movie's fine. I thought the villain was pretty bad. I was not into the villain at all. But outside of that, it was a fun movie. I was wondering if it was. I actually didn't expect it to be as like lighthearted as it was. I thought it was going to be more akin to Captain Marvel, but it's actually more akin to Miss Marvel, which I like. I'm okay with that. But I don't know. I think it is a solid movie. I'd probably give it a B. But the main thing that I took away from it is I want to see more Iman Vellani, and I hope they get the Young Avengers stuff going soon because I want to see that. And I wouldn't be mad at a Miss Marvel season 2 as well. Because honestly, if I was Kevin Feige and it was my decision, I would be greenlighting more TV series than movies, because I think the quality of the shows has been way more consistent than the quality of the movies. And it makes sense because you have more time to tell a story. Like, can you imagine? If you've seen Loki, can you imagine if Loki was a movie instead of a 2-series television show? It would be so much worse. Well, I wonder if they should have made a Captain Marvel 2 instead of doing this whole Marvels thing, because I don't know, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. It's like Captain Marvel did have kind of an arc in the movie, but I don't know, it was like less interesting than other things. Anyway. But oh yeah, they did ditch the art. Well, I don't know if did they completely ditch it. Definitely was like very heavy in the first couple of episodes and then became very sparse after that. I think, and this is what I think, the MC or the Marvel Studios, I think they put so much pressure on the directors to get the shows done that maybe that's why stuff like that happens, is like they don't have time to do all the stuff that they want to do because there's so much pressure. And I also think that's why so many of the Marvel shows have they kind of end on a whimper instead of a bang. Like most of them don't have very strong endings, and I think that's why. Like the only one that really had a good ending is Loki. The ending to Falcon Winter Soldier is okay, I think, but like the ending of WandaVision I think was kind of weird. The ending of Secret Invasion was terrible. So yeah. So that's probably that would be my guess as to why that happened with Miss Marvel, is just pressure to finish. But yeah. And yeah, even the ending to Miss Marvel was a little bit, could have been done better, but I still enjoyed it a lot. Do you think we're ever gonna see White Vision again? I mean, I don't know. Probably. I think the thing with Marvel is I think what they'll do is they'll just like have it show up for a second just to say that they did, or do it in some weird way. Like kind of like how they did Adam Warlock in Guardians. Like a lot of people were upset about that because Adam Warlock is like this like really important badass character in the comics, but I think they literally just kind of threw him in to the Guardians movie just because they felt like they had to, because they mentioned it before. So they might do something like that where they just kind of shoehorn White Vision into something. But it could be cool. Like for example, when we saw the Red Skull in Avengers, that was a pretty cool little cameo. So maybe it could be something like that. What's up, Brash Geologist? I've got to use the bathroom really quick. I'll be right back. Hello. All right, thanks for checking out the stream, Philip. Looking forward to Madam Web and Blade. Yeah, for sure. I'm interested in Madam Web. I wonder if there's going to be any Spider-Man references in there. I mean, I know there's, you know, it's like related to Spider-Man, but it's weird that the character of Spider-Man is just so, its fate is like so up in the air. Like, is it gonna come back to the MCU, or are they gonna go to the Venom universe? It's kind of weird because Spider-Man is, you know, like maybe the most popular superhero right now, but since everybody wants to own the character, it's always weird what movies it's gonna appear in. Yeah, I as a rule, I don't really keep up with MCU news. I don't watch trailers. I just kind of I go into everything blind. Usually when I watch a show or watch a movie, I will have not heard or seen anything about it. And to me, that's the most favorable experience. Like my opinions aren't tainted. I have no idea what's going to happen. I personally like that, at least for Marvel movies. I'm not as into, like, for example, like DC. I don't really care about DC as much. The DC like live action movies. I don't really care as much about them, so I'll look into them. I'll watch the trailers. I'll see what's going on. But for Marvel, I don't know. I feel like I'm so deep into the fandom that I just want to be untainted. Would you find it easier for you to create content if you categorize your content more? Have trash TV, D&D, niche communities, maybe even dip your toe into social political commentary? If I categorized it like on one channel, or you mean like created a different channel for each one? I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, I just got to make good videos. I think that's just really the only thing that matters, is just make good videos. Because, well, so here's how YouTube works. You make a video and a lot of people like it. And so you make another video. And if it seems like it's similar to that last video, then all those people that liked that first video will watch the second video, and then you just do that over and over again, and that's how you become a big YouTuber. But some people can get away with just doing step one over and over again. Just make a good video, and then a lot of people like it and watch it. And then you just make another video. It may not have anything to do with the first video. It may have a completely different audience than the first video, but it was good, so a lot of people liked it and watched it. I could do that. That's kind of the harder road. That's like the uphill version of being a YouTuber, but it's possible. People have done it. So at the very least, I just need to focus on trying to make a good video every time, and maybe YouTube will find the audience for it, maybe not, but that's really all I can do. And I think over time, because even though some of my videos are a bit different from each other, it's still me. Like, it's still the same person, and it's also the same values I think are shared in each video, which I think is important. But, and hopefully maybe over time that will like shape itself into something that resembles a niche. But if not, hopefully I can at least make a good video. The boxing vid was really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like the video a lot. I had a feeling that video was not going to get many views. Well, it's not I had a feeling, but I thought it might happen because it's about sports, and just this section of the internet is not sports people for the most part. It's a bunch of like nerds and bookie people and intellectual people and things like that. That's kind of like what's going on in this space that I normally occupy, and a lot of those people aren't into sports. So sports videos, immediately turn them off. Obviously my goal is to try to make people care about something that they didn't think they would care about, but that's a little hard to do sometimes. And I don't know if you guys know this, but YouTube really weighs click-through rate very heavily, like how many people saw your title and thumbnail and then clicked on it. And if that number is low, it's like very, very unlikely that the video is going to take off. It's still possible, but YouTube cares a lot about that. And that video obviously had a pretty low click-through rate because I think a lot of people were like, oh, this video is about boxing. I really don't give a shit about boxing, so I'm not going to click on that. But you know, I don't know. It's fine. I'm just going to make videos that I like and try to make them good. And if that doesn't work, then we'll try something else. I mean, maybe I'll just make this the hobby and find something else to make the job, you know? That's just how it goes sometimes. Life changes. Life doesn't stay the same. I think what's important is I'm having a lot more fun making the videos now. Politics is exhausting. I don't like it. And every time I like dip my toe even a little bit more back into it just for a second, I remember how awful it is. And it kind of sucks, you know. I kind of wish we could talk about politics on the internet without it being exhausting and terrible and frustrating, but it doesn't seem to be possible. So the boxing video, so I originally released the boxing video normally, and it did really poorly, like maybe my worst performing video ever. And so I left it up. I changed the thumbnail a couple times to see if that would help. But you know, it kind of died. And so maybe like a month later, I took the video down and re-edited it a little bit and then re-uploaded it, but I wanted to see what would happen if I turned the subscriber notifications off, so no one who is subscribed to me saw that video in their subscriber feed. And also, I believe if you click the bell, it didn't show up in the notifications either. So my theory was like, maybe if YouTube only shows this video to people who aren't subscribed to me, then it will get more attention, because the people who are subscribed to me are less likely to click on it, because the people who are subscribed to me aren't interested in a boxing video. I don't know. That was the experiment. That was the hypothesis. It didn't really work though. But it did answer my hypothesis. But I think that those videos have potential to get views later on down the line once YouTube shows it to more and more people in different audiences. So we'll see. And that's why I just hope to make like a solid, you know, catalog of good videos, so people way down the line can discover them and hopefully enjoy them. Oh, what's up, FD Signifiers in the chat? The boxing video was dope. Psyched at a tank. Yeah. Yeah. YouTube is weird. I don't know. I have my theories. I mean, I think a lot of it's just people weren't interested in the sports video. It's still surprising to me that it did as poorly as it did, because I do think it's a good video. I think it's like one of my best videos. That's why it could be just wishful thinking, but I think maybe down the line it could get some more views as new audiences come through. What do I think of Jordan Peterson's psychology and philosophy takes regarding religion? I don't know that I'm super up to date with what he talks about religion. I mean, he's like a Christian, right? He talks about Christianity and stuff, right? I mean, I have, you know, I'm pretty anti-religion in general, so it's hard for me to focus on one person's idea about like Christianity or whatever. But I don't really know. I can't really think of what he specifically says about religion, I don't think. How did you transition from your day job to your passion of making videos? I also have passion for things outside of my job, but I struggle to balance it out. Any tips on that? Well, I think there's different ways to go about it, and I don't think the way I went about it is necessarily the best way. But essentially what I did was, as soon as my videos started doing well and making money, I just went all in. I was like, this is what I want to do, so I'm just gonna do it. And I was a little bit lucky at the time because I was in a position where I didn't have too many expenses. Like, I was just a single dude who lived in a small apartment, and that was it. You know, I didn't have a lot going on. I don't have any kids or a spouse or anything. So I had just gotten laid off from a job. I mean, I've been doing YouTube, you know, since like 2010, but I had gotten laid off from a job, and then my videos, well, I got laid off for a job and I was on unemployment, and I was like, I'm gonna live off this unemployment and work on YouTube. That's what I said. You probably shouldn't do that. Like, because unemployment checks are not that much money. You should probably get a job. But I decided to live off unemployment and work on YouTube, and videos started to pop off a little bit. And part of that is because I did have extra time to work on YouTube. And then as soon as videos started actually popping off, I was like, well, I'm not working anymore, obviously. So there was a little bit of a struggle, but I felt cool because I got to say that I did YouTube and that was my only job. But I was making like maybe minimum wage or less than minimum wage, just focusing on YouTube, which is, by the way, which is pretty cool. Like, that's more than most people make. But yeah, from there on, I just was lucky to have several videos pop off, and eventually it became enough to like actually be a real job. So as far as, I think I guess you asked for advice, you didn't just ask for the story. I think if you want to like do something, especially if it's something creative, I think you need to figure out the roadmap for making that work, and then figuring out how can you follow that roadmap. So like, at least at the time, I think it's a lot different now, but at the time, the roadmap for me for doing YouTube as a career was putting a lot of effort into my videos and trying to make them good so they would get a lot of views or go viral, etc. That's like basically what I did. I got a little bit lucky, but I also worked really hard at it, and that kind of worked out. But that's like, YouTube is a very specific thing, and it's a lot different now. There's a lot more competition and it's very saturated. But you got to figure out like, what's the roadmap? What do you have to do to make that come true? And the answer is not to wait around and hope and dream. The answer is to figure out what moves do you need to make, what position do you have to put yourself in, what people do you have to talk to. Like, if you really want to make that work, you gotta do stuff. And I think that's what, you know, where a lot of people go wrong is, like, a lot of people, you know, people say, like, follow your passion. It's not really about following your passion. It's just about figuring out what you want to do and then figuring out how to do it. And if you figure, like, if you do something and you realize, oh, that actually doesn't work for what I'm trying to do, then you just go and do something else. But you'll never figure that out if you don't do something. So I can't really tell you exactly what to do, but I can tell you to figure out what you need to do. Like, what is the roadmap? What have people before you done to get to that spot that you want to be? Or what new technologies or new pathways are there that you can take to get there? And then just do it. Just figure it out. And you'll probably fail a bunch of times on the way, but that's just how life is. What's up, Chillcast? I really liked your video about the reality show with the paid actors and the only one genuine guy. Were you a big fan of 2000s reality shows? Not really, actually. But that show stuck out in my mind because it was it's such a unique story. But it has inspired me to look at other old reality shows. Like, I've been thinking about doing a video about The Simple Life. I talked about this earlier, and someone mentioned the Tila Tequila show. But it just depends on if there's an interesting story to tell about the show. And the Joe Schmo show, to me, was just a really cool story. And that's my most viewed video, so I guess people enjoyed the story as well. This is why YouTube is weird. Because, like, with the boxing video, when I dropped the boxing video, I was like, man, I don't know if people are going to be into this. It's about sports. It's kind of weird. It turns out a lot of people weren't into it. But I felt the exact same way about the Joe Schmo video. I was like, I don't know if people are going to be into this. It's kind of a random show. Does anyone care about this? Oh, 2.5 million views. Cool. YouTube is weird. Mario or Sonic? Probably got to say Mario, to be honest. I think when I was younger, I would have said Sonic. You know, he's kind of like the hip, edgy kind of dude. But now I find Sonic kind of annoying. Sonic to me is like an annoying teenager, while Mario is like a grown-ass man, you know, getting work done. That's kind of how I feel. 1v1 in Scrabble? Sure, not on the stream right now. I probably might do like a Scrabble stream, but I don't feel like doing it right now. You can find me on Scrabble Go and challenge me. I'm interviewing someone for my podcast soon. Any tips on how to construct the interview? I'm interviewing a band. Well, I don't think I can actually help you with that. I don't know anything about interviewing people. I have never done it before. I don't think. Yeah, I could try to give you a BS answer, but I don't know anything about doing that. What would be my porn name? Mine would be Adam Dicules. Okay. I don't think I've ever thought about that. Isn't there like a porn name converter? Isn't it like your middle name and your street you grew up on or something? Porn name generator. Or wait, Poor name generator. Indigo Steel. I feel like that's the name of something. Isn't there something called Indigo Steel? Oh, that's what the website told me. Indigo Steel. Are you gay? Serious question. Nah, I'm kidding. Okay. Thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3? It's good. I like it a lot. I played a decent amount of it, but not that much. I don't know. I'm probably not even a decent amount. Maybe like 10-ish hours or something. But yeah, it's an amazing game. There's so detailed, so much stuff in it. Great game. I need to. It's such a detailed game that it's kind of like I have to like psych myself up to play it because it's a lot of sensory overload sometimes. It's not like a game you can just kind of casually turn on. You gotta be in the zone to play that game, I feel like. Oh, what's up? What's up, Rocket? I don't know if you want me to say your name, but anyway, what's up? Good to see you. How do you feel like the economy could credit the boxers you talked about in your last video? Like they're almost valuable because of their exploitability. It seems difficult to properly estimate their contribution. Well, I mean, how could the economy? I mean, like the boxing industry, I think should just pay them more. That's the only thing. I mean, just in general, the problem with those sort of like hierarchical systems where there's like these people at the lowest that make, that don't make any money, that just scrape by, and the people at the top, or at least the people above them going up and up that make tons of money. I mean, the problem is just, I think the problem is not that some people make more than others. It's just that the people on the bottom make so little. Like, I don't begrudge anyone that consents to doing that as a job, but I just think they just pay them more, pay them a fair wage, give them the flexibility to not have to fight as much as they do if they don't want to. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Some people don't want their names out there, I guess. But yeah, I probably am gonna stream for maybe like 30 more minutes or so. I might play some Baldur's Gate later today, but I do have to do work. The problem with I feel like I work all day, and then at the end of the night when I'm done, I just don't feel like doing anything. But I guess that's what everyone says, right? Does pineapple go on pizza? The answer that I always give to this is I do not think I would ever order a pizza with pineapple on it. It's just not my jam. But if there's a pizza in front of me and it has pineapple on it, I'll still eat it. It's fine. It's still pizza. I'm not like a big toppings person. Like, I don't think you need to get too crazy with pizza toppings. You know, just put some pepperoni on there and you're fine. Me and my brother said the same thing. I don't doubt it. He probably copied it from me. But yeah, like a Hawaiian pizza is not the worst thing in the world, but it's like when you have the choice to order any pizza you want. I don't know why you would order that. But, or, you know, I don't know why I would order that, because there are things that are better. Making the band, yeah, that was another one. That's the thing, like a lot of these shows seem really interesting and it would be cool to make videos about them. I'm not sure I want to become known as the guy who makes videos about trash reality shows though. Like, I mean, you know, if the videos are good, then maybe that's fine, but you know. And it would be a little bit inauthentic because I didn't really watch any of those shows growing up. I think I watched, which I feel like I watched one of them. I mean, I like reality competition shows, the ones that were a little less trashy, like Amazing Race was really cool. And The Mole, if anyone remembers that show was great. So I liked those kinds of shows, but when you get into like Making the Band territory or like Tila Tequila and stuff like that, that's when it's like, okay, we're getting down to the dumps of TV here. Like I think the reason the Joe Schmo story is so cool is because it was a trash reality show, but it like just was like had this surprisingly wholesome guy on it. And you know, it ended up being just way more than what it was presented as. I think it's hilarious that MILF Manor is a show because it's that was literally a joke on 30 Rock, was a reality show, except on the joke on 30 Rock was that it was a show called MILF Island, and they literally made a joke about them making a show, and then they actually did it. I wouldn't be surprised. They probably were inspired by the joke. But yeah, I haven't seen it. I don't know what's going on with reality TV. Skin Wars? I don't even know what that is. Excuse me. Body painting reality competition. Hosted by Rebecca Romaine. Well, isn't that the perfect host? At the end of each episode, one contestant is eliminated and told it's time to wash off your canvas. That's funny. Wait, RuPaul's on this show? What is going on? I mean, I like the idea of there being these shows about things that people actually care about and things that people are actually interested in. Like, there are people that are like really into body painting, so that's cool if there's a show about it. But I guess it depends on how they execute it, you know? Like there was a well, yeah, there was that show about wasn't it about like making costumes, like costume making or something like that, that was really, that people liked. And there's that show where the dudes make swords. That one's pretty funny. So I like stuff like that. I mean, at least I'm okay with that existing, you know? That it seems, but again, it depends on how it's delivered. Like they could make it as trashy as possible if they wanted to. I watch more commentary of these shows than the actual shows themselves. It's almost like they're designed for folks like Cody to do videos on. Yeah. The commentary, I like some of the commentary stuff too, but I don't really like. I thought about like maybe I could be a commentary YouTuber. That would be, you know, pretty easy to make content, but I just don't feel it if there's no story. Like I think those guys are really good at just commenting on stuff as it's happening or making fun of something or stuff like that. But I need like a story. I need a story to tell. Like what is the story of this? Not just like, hey, look at that, isn't that weird? But like, what is the story of this show? Like that, I feel like that's the only way that I would really be interested in making a video about something. Some of them aren't trashy, they're funny because filming is so awkward. Yeah, I think Face Off is the one I was thinking of. Is that still on? Or I guess you said was. But yeah, I appreciate stuff like that. There was this. Did y'all see the one? It was like a superhero reality show. It was like all of the contestants had these like superhero alter egos that they portrayed, and they had to do all these weird challenges. And I think the prize was that you got to be in a comic book or something. And I think Stan Lee was on it. Do y'all remember this? It was a really cheesy show, but it was kind of cool if you like superheroes. Isn't that the show that Shirley from Community left for? Did that happen? I don't know. But yeah, I remember watching some of that, and it was, oh, was she the host? Was she? What? Well, I don't know what to look for because I don't remember what it was called. But it was like a really silly, cheesy show. I remember that much, but it was kind of cool to, you know, get to live out see these people live out their like comic book personas. And maybe she was the host. I actually cannot picture who the host was. I do remember that Stan Lee was on it. Like he was one of the judges maybe, or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, like that's an example of something like, I'm okay that exists. That's kind of cool. Even though it's really cheesy, that's fine, you know? So that's kind of how I feel about a lot of these shows. But some of them do kind of, you know, portray the worst of humanity. Was Trisha Paytas in that show, the superhero show? Would I ever try the Thriller dance? It's 40 years old. Is it only 40 years old? I would have expected more. When did that come out? Wasn't that like the 70s? But trust me, I've done the Thriller dance many times in my life. I wouldn't be trying it. I would just be doing something I've done before. There's a show that was on recently. There's a singing competition show where you make an AI who is singing for you. Man, they're just doing everything. How do you know if some YouTuber or any entertainer on the internet is either plagiarizing or using AI? Do you think AI may become a big part of show writing? I would be surprised if AI is not already a big part of show writing. How do you know if a YouTuber is plagiarizing? Look it up. Just write down or copy the transcript and Google it and see if it shows up somewhere else. That's how you figure that out. Maybe a little bit harder to see if they're using AI, but sometimes AI plagiarizes stuff, so sometimes the Google trick will still work. I say like Googling like it's a trick. No, it's just a regular thing. But yeah, I think everybody's using AI, and that's not necessarily a bad thing as long as people are using it as a tool and not a crutch. But yeah, everyone's using AI. You know, everyone's using ChatGPT to help them write scripts, to help them come up with titles, to help them come up with all kinds of stuff. And I have no reason to think that that's not also happening in Hollywood, you know? They were using a VTuber model. That's so interesting. Do you guys get messages about ad blocker being illegal here on YouTube? Yeah, I think those messages are starting to pop up. It seems like Google is finally starting to crack down on ad blockers. Although I think the ad blockers are still, I think if you like update them and get the right ones, they still work. What's up, Joshua? Thank you for the kind words. Lewis, thank you. You love the Scrabble video. I appreciate that. I enjoyed making it. I think it's one of my best videos. I'm so bad at making titles and names for things. I think I'm pretty bad at that too. But I think like anything else, it's just something that you kind of get better at if you practice it and learn more about it. But as I said, you know, people use AI for that to help as well. But you can kind of tell sometimes, especially if you're familiar with ChatGPT. Like when I look at YouTube, I can tell when someone has titled their video something that they got from ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has a certain way that it talks. And so you can kind of tell when people do that. Appreciate that, Brass. The AI dialect, yeah. But apparently there's like certain ways that you can talk to ChatGPT to get, you know, more unique results rather than sort of the generic AI babble. Like you can actually, there are people who you can pay to create ChatGPT prompts for you. I don't know how legitimate a business that is, but I do know that there are people that will accept your money for that. Think of a word that starts with P that always makes people giggle. I guess poop is the first thing that came to my head. Does that always make people giggle though? Epistemically, how can you verify that you were right about how they got the title? I guess I can't verify it. I mean, I could ask them, I guess. There is definitely a chance that I am wrong. There's all kinds of things that could happen. Maybe they used ChatGPT in the past and liked the way that ChatGPT made titles and just made titles on their own that sounded like that. Maybe their videos are the very inspiration for ChatGPT. You can get paid to use ChatGPT for another person. You definitely can. Go on Fiverr, look up ChatGPT prompts. A bunch of it will come up. It seems dubious to me, but you know, there's like, for example, I use Midjourney, which is the AI art thing. And there are definitely people that are really good at Midjourney, like better, like they just know a lot of stuff about Midjourney. So I could see how that could be a thing. What word were you thinking of? Penis? Yeah, I don't know. I think poop is a funnier word than penis. But maybe I'm just old. Although thinking poop is funny may not support that hypothesis. Superhuman Stanley. Is that a thing? Is that the name of something? Hold on, I can look this up. Oh, Stanley's Superhumans. No, that's something else. Hold on. Oh, it's literally called Who Wants to Be a Superhero? I believe this is what I'm talking about. And yeah, the guy who won, like the guy who won, his character, like they actually made comic books for it and stuff. Yeah, that's it. And there was a couple seasons of it, I think. The winner of both seasons was a white dude. I wonder if that was intentional. Anyway. Kind of like a secretary or other service job. It's not like using other software is hard, but there are advantages to specializing and using it professionally. I mean, yeah, I could see that. I think the thing about AI, or at least about ChatGPT and Midjourney, is like there's no, like, as far as I know, I could be wrong, but there's no like official documentation about how to use it correctly. That's why I'm like dubious. Like, sure, you could like pick up a book about some software or something and just learn everything about it, but I don't think that exists for ChatGPT. I think it's just all trial and error, right? But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not the expert here. And I want to say the same thing about Midjourney. It's just like, and also you can get similar results through different methods, I believe. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, ChatGPT does seem to be good with code and things of that nature. I mean, I use ChatGPT like every day. I think it's great, but obviously you just have to understand its limits and understand when it needs to be checked and things like that nature. I don't like when it comes to like looking up factual information. I try not to use ChatGPT because sometimes ChatGPT, like if you ask ChatGPT, like, you know, what year was the Starry Night painted, it'll give you the correct answer. But sometimes when it doesn't have an answer for you, it will just straight up make something up. Like just out of thin air. Part of the writer's strike was about AI. A video on that would be interesting. Yeah, I'm still not completely sure how I feel about all of that. I would really have to think about that a lot because I think I don't think people should resist the advancements of technology. Whenever people are like, we should stop the advancement of technology, that makes me feel weird. And that's what it sounds like a lot of people are saying is like, no, these things are going to take our jobs, so we need to stop. We need to stop using it. We need to stop developing it. To me, that seems wrong. Just instinctively, that seems wrong to me. And I also think that the conversation about people getting their jobs taken by AI is kind of missing the forest for the trees. Like, the problem is not that AI is going to take people's jobs. The problem is that people can't eat without these jobs. If people didn't need to keep these jobs in order to like survive, then I feel like this conversation would be a lot different. So I don't know. I have a very messy thoughts about this. I haven't really put all my thoughts together about this. And as I mentioned before, I don't know how many of you are here, but whenever there's like this big internet stink about something, I am always suspicious of it because I think the internet is trash and social media is trash and people get riled up over things that they don't know what they're talking about. I'm not saying that's necessarily the most rational way to go about it, but that's just what I lean towards whenever a lot of people are up in arms about something like AI, for example. Now, there are some things that the developers of these AI systems do that is clearly not ethical. Like, I think it's okay to make a program that is like generative AI based on, you know, examples that it uses. But when you take those examples from people without permission, that's probably not great. You know, when you have access to data and stuff that you didn't pay for or you didn't get permission to use, that's probably not great. But, you know, for example, if you Google something, like if you Google Apple, a bunch of images of an apple will pop up in Google image search. Do we think that Google owes all those people money for displaying those results? Like, and if somebody uses those results for their project, is Google like implicit in that usage in any way? Like, that's, to me, that's similar to saying that Midjourney is implicit if somebody uses an image created by Midjourney. Maybe that's completely wrong-headed. Someone can explain it to me if that's a bad analogy, but it seems similar to me. But I've never heard anyone complain about Google Images, you know? cosplay melee. I think that, well, I don't know. I think I got cosplay melee and face off mixed up. Or I think that I thought that they were the same show. Google takes you to a source. That's true, which is often the source, and I think that is one of the differences. But you know, Google doesn't like, you know, make any. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a fair point. It's something to consider. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I haven't like got my whole thoughts together about AI and stuff like that. But I think when it comes to like the writer strike and stuff, the main problem with that is just like capitalism, I guess. Like it's like you shouldn't have to worry about losing your job to an AI. Like I don't know. People just, I just don't think the whole sort of labor theory is bad. The idea that you have to work to live is bad, basically, is what I'm saying. And that's something that humanity is going to have to figure out, because assuming that we allow technology to continue to advance, that's going to continue to be more and more of a problem. And eventually there's going to be a lot of people out of work, because there's just not going to be enough jobs that humans can do, I feel like. And I also think that this technology has advanced way further than a lot of people think. I think maybe people saw like some of these apps that you can get that, like, you know, make AI versions of your face and think, oh man, this AI art is terrible. It's just copying people's work. But like Midjourney is a lot more advanced than that, you know? It is very, I feel like it's nearly impossible with modern AI art tools to even identify the source materials at this point. But then, you know, we've talked about text and art, but there's also now there's AI voices, AI audio, which is going to be an issue at some point probably, and AI video, deep fakes and stuff like that. This is all definitely gonna come to a head at some point. Like, you can pretty closely replicate someone's voice now and make it sound realistic. If you work on it enough, you can make it sound realistic. That's a bit scary. That's the scariest part to me. This stream is much calmer than the one I watched from JJ McCullough. What was going on his stream? I thought he seems like a pretty chill dude from his videos. Is he not chill? Vocaloids. Yeah, I talked a little bit about GTA 6 earlier. It's not much to say. It's like it looks cool. It's probably going to be good. They're all good. I was just mainly surprised at how realistic it looked, because because GTA has always had like a cartoony sort of look. So I was just surprised at how realistic the graphics look. But it's it's gonna be good. Yeah, and I think just like with anything else, with AI, it can be done ethically and it can be done unethically, and there's probably a mix of both happening right now. Like, for example, and I hate to use Facebook as an example of something done ethically, but like Facebook has AI stickers right now. So you can go on Facebook and just type a description. It'll make a sticker for you to put in chat or whatever. And if I'm not mistaken, all those stickers are based on their in-house artists. So people that they actually pay. Now, I'm not sure if they're getting paid like, fairly for what's happening, but they're not like stealing art from other people is what I'm saying. So that's like one way that it could work is you have your generative AI or iterative or whatever it's called, but it's based on it takes examples from stuff that you own or that you paid for or that you got permission for, The most interesting argument I've heard against AI generated art is that it divorces art and the people who create it from the conversation between creators as they share and learn from each other. I mean, I can kind of see that. I guess I would like to see that argument expanded. I will say this, I don't think human created art is in danger, at least right now, because AI art is not, it's not good. Like it's passable, but it's not good, ChatGPT could write a novel, but it wouldn't be good. And I don't think you could make it good no matter how you tried. Ultimately, the only way to make it good would be to just completely have a human rewrite it, And AI art is very remarkable, but it's not good, It lacks. I mean, you can make some really like aesthetically pleasing things with AI, but is it really like art? Does it like make you feel something? Like I feel like rarely it does. It's just like very standard generic type of art, So at least as of right now, I don't think human made art is in danger. The issue is not really that AI is going to replace humans or replace art. The issue is that businesses looking to save a buck are going to make shittier stuff using AI, and then that's just all that's going to be available for us to consume. I think that's the problem. Like, I don't know that the technology is the problem. It's the humans that are going to use the technology to do shitty stuff. Fake articles gaslighted the entire country during the 2016 election. Advances in fake images and video are going to make the next election a whole other level of shitstorm, I think. See that, and again, it's like, what are people going to do with this AI? Which I guess, if anyone, it's not like anyone else can do it. So I think it may be kind of a tautology to talk about to say that humans are the problem but not AI, because ultimately humans are the ones that are going to make it a problem. But I feel like the way people talk about it, they make it seem like just the technology itself is bad, and that makes me feel uncomfortable. But the thing about fake stuff is like people will do fakes. People are gonna fake stuff all the time, you know. But it's just easier to fake stuff now, I guess. Yeah, it's a lot to think about. I don't know. I'm kind of just rambling and thinking out loud because I haven't really got it all figured out yet. It's been entertaining to hear President sing the One Piece theme song. Yeah, why can't we just appreciate our memes and not be weird with it, you know? Why can't we just use AI for good? I've watched a lot of these like presidents do stuff videos. I'm really into Overwatch, and there was this whole series of presidents playing Overwatch that I thought was hilarious. It became like this big trend and everybody was doing it. It was great. I always feel like whenever I stream, it always feels, it makes me remember that the world is not Twitter, because I feel like whenever we have these streams and talk about stuff, it's always a pretty interesting and nuanced conversation, and I like forget that that's a thing that can happen on the internet. Because I promise you, if we were having this conversation on Twitter, it would be way less nuanced, to say the least. But that's like where you hear like social media, Twitter like specifically, but like social media in general, that's like where you hear all of these comments about, you know, how, you know, so this just today, I left a comment on H Bomber Guy's new video, which everyone's talking about. H Bomber Guy just made a great video. It's like 4 hours long, which is crazy, but he made a video about plagiarism, and he mentions content farms in that video, and he talks about those YouTube videos. Have you seen those videos where it's like AI voice recapping a movie, and it's just literally like word for word the Wikipedia recap? And so that's like a big thing on YouTube. There's tons of those videos, and sometimes they get millions of views. So he mentions those in that video, and I commented on the video saying that those movie recap videos are kind of like a guilty pleasure for me, because they're like a really good way to learn the plot of a movie without having to watch it, and it's still entertaining because they're like showing you visuals for the movie. So it's almost the same as watching the movie without giving it, you know, 2 hours of your life. So I left that comment like, this is my guilty pleasure. That's kind of my guilty pleasure. LOL. I was just kind of, you know, just leaving a lighthearted comment. And then someone replied to my comment that was like, oh, now I know to never watch your content. I was like, what? It's like, why does everyone have to go like 0 to 100 on the internet? Just relax. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And so that's kind of how I expect all internet conversations to go. So I always feel good when we have these conversations, and it, you know, it's nuanced and people are offering different views and stuff, and it's not people being weird, because I sometimes forget that exists. But yeah, yes, H Bomber Guy has a new video, came out a couple days ago, and it's generating a lot of buzz. It's blowing up. I think it's got like 4 or 5 million views after like 2 or 3 days. It's about plagiarism, and particularly it's about a particular YouTuber that apparently has been heavily plagiarizing a lot of people. and H Bomber Guy kind of went in. By still saying Twitter instead of X, are we confusing the AI about its/their own identity? Honestly, for me, I stopped posting on Twitter before Elon changed the name to X. So the term X kind of means nothing to my brain. It's like it doesn't even compute. Like I halfway think that that people are trolling me when they say that it's called X now. But I mean, obviously I can go look at it. But for me, it's not like I'm not trying to be like cheeky or rebellious. It's like that's just the last thing that it was called when I was there. Did I watch James Somerton before this? Actually, no, I had never heard of him before this. But it's probably just because YouTube didn't show me his videos because it didn't think I was a target audience. It seems to be videos for a queer audience, which I'm not really. I mean, not to say that I don't watch videos from like LGBTQ creators, but sometimes the algorithm just won't show you a video because it doesn't think you're the right audience. X does sound like a porn site. If you go to I feel like if you asked me before, if you told me about a site called x.com and asked me what kind of site you thought it was, I would definitely guess porn. How hard was it for you to quit Twitter? I've tried so many times, but I always come back because of the FOMO. I think for a while it was hard. And I admit every now and then I'll go and look at the homepage for a few seconds. And I'll look at certain tweets if it's just something that's interesting to me at the time. But I think it just came alongside just my overall shift as a creator, because my Twitter, at least the side of Twitter that I was on, was politics Twitter. Most of the people I followed were like politically inclined or political creators. So my Twitter was just all politics. And I chose to distance myself from politics for a while. So that included Twitter. So because of that, it ultimately didn't end up being that hard. I think it was hard before, but when I finally was like, yo, I'm just sick of politics, I need a break, I think it was the natural step to quit Twitter. And then after leaving Twitter, I realized how less frequently I was mad and frustrated about stuff. So I haven't been like encouraged to really go back. And I think also for me, there's a little bit, I have, you know, a decent following on Twitter. So there's a little bit of accountability, I feel like, where it's like, I just told 40,000 people that I'm not posting on this site anymore. I have to stand by that. Like if you don't have a lot of followers, it's kind of easier to just slip out and come back. But if I come back, it's going to be very conspicuous. And people are going to be like, I thought you said you left Twitter. So I think that's also part of the reason why it's been easier for me to leave and stay off of it. Is the need for a breakup from politics the reason for your content style shift? I'm sure you answered that before, but I haven't heard. Essentially, yeah. I made a whole video about that if you're interested. It's called Why I Stopped Making Political Content, which seems to be the exact question you have. I made a whole video about it. There's several reasons, but that is probably the biggest reason. Like I was talking about before, how I feel sort of relief at the way that we can talk about a controversial subject in a sort of civil and nuanced way. The fact that that doesn't happen on the internet very much is one of the biggest reasons. And I say much, it's like almost never, you know. But yeah, that video basically covers all of the reasons. I think the main reasons are, I kind of feel like I've said most of the stuff that I want to say regarding politics. B, I don't know. I think people are just better at it than me. But I don't know. That could be just sort of an imposter syndrome type of thing. See, it's annoying and frustrating, and everybody's an asshole, and everybody just kind of wants to stay in their group, and nobody seems to care about like compassion or critical thinking. People just kind of say the thing that they're supposed to say. And this happens on both sides, or both, as if there's only two, but you know what I mean. And finally, just because I just wanted to make other stuff, and I kind of like neglected to make different types of videos because I felt like people wouldn't like them because that's not what they subscribe for. And that's kind of true, because the videos that I've made recently have not gotten as many views. But at this point, I just want to, I care more about having fun with my work and making content that I really enjoy. So that's what I'm doing. But if you want a more detailed answer, you can check out that video. All right, we're gonna end the stream in about 10 minutes, so I can answer a few more questions or talk about a few more things before we go. What's a good movie that would actually benefit from a remake? I don't know. I generally am a little bit wary of remakes. Like if something that I really like gets remade, I get a little scared personally. It's not always bad, but you know, sometimes it is. I'm trying to think of something that I think would be cool to be remade. Maybe it could be something that was bad that they could remake and make it good. And the thing is, they're like remaking everything anyway. Like it's hard to think of something that hasn't already been remade or that they're not planning to remake, you know? At least something that was popular. Like I just thought of The Crow. That just popped into my head because I thought that, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I don't think that movie's very good, but it's a really cool idea, and it has a cool feel. So that could be something. And then I just looked it up. It's like, yeah, they're already remaking that. So why has political content stopped making videos about you? I think my brain exploded in my head. Polar Express, they're remaking that, right? lot of Westerns were bad. I haven't seen that many Westerns, but I believe you. I want to say that I saw a Polar Express remake. Could be wrong though. There's a rumored... Wait. There's a rumored prequel to Polar Express. Who are my favorite political commentators? Well, I haven't really kept up with politics lately, but when I did, who did I like? Do you mean like on YouTube or just like in traditional media? Like, does ContraPoints count? All right, Chase, thanks for stopping by the... Are you saying bye as if you're leaving? Cool. Thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna end the stream here in a second anyway. Favorite Pokemon? I've always said my favorite Pokemon is Scyther. Very cool. I feel like Scyther's underrated. People don't talk about Scyther enough. Do I have a guilty pleasure, problematic cultural icon? Problematic? I feel like this is a trap question. Because if I say something too problematic, people are going to be like astonished. But if I say someone that's not that problematic, then it doesn't really answer the question. My thing about, see, when it comes to like celebrities, public figures and things like that, I try to just appreciate the stuff they make and just ignore who they are as a person because I don't know them. And sometimes they end up being like really bad people. But yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. The Majority Report. Thoughts on Shoe on Head? I haven't watched the Shoe on Head video in years. My understanding is that she's less reactionary than she was like many years ago. But I don't know. Like, isn't she like a socialist or something now? Isn't that right? Was that the sequel to Minority Report? That's funny. Favorite country? Well, the only country that I really know anything about is the United States, unfortunately. Michael Jackson. I think Michael Jackson might be a good answer to that question. Brian Merchant has a book, Blood in the Machine, which details the origins of the rebellion against big tech. Interesting. Massive fan of O.J. Simpson. Ran so fast even the law couldn't catch him. Tradwife socialist. Is that a bad thing? Mega Sizer is Scyther brought to coolest potential. Well, there goes my Pokemon ignorance because I don't know what that is. Is there anything you can't help but be a little pretentious about? I had an experience talking about coffee that made me feel bougie. I guess that's what that is. I don't know. I can be pretentious about a lot of stuff, but I try to catch myself. Sometimes I catch myself being a little pretentious. Like I can be pretentious about YouTube. Sometimes D&D. Sometimes I get a little snooty. Anything I feel like I know a lot about. MCU. Smash Bros. Maybe fighting games in general, or certain ones at least. Yeah, I know it's interesting that that Shu's a socialist because back in the day she definitely wasn't. But you know, people change, you know, and that's great. Does my chair spin? Yeah, it does. I love this chair, by the way. It's a Secret Lab chair. Very fucking expensive. But the thing about chairs, man, you really get what you pay for with computer chairs. I have broken so many chairs. That's the only reason that I bought this chair, because I keep breaking the cheap ones. And maybe that's my fault because I lean back in my chairs too much, but it's a chair. It should be able to support me, you know? I'm not that big a guy. But I just went ahead and dropped the money to buy a sturdy chair that won't break, and this chair is great. I'm a fighting game tryhard. I feel you. What do you mean about D&D? Are you hella into 3.5? No, I mean I'm kind of a poser. I've only played 5e, but I played a lot of 5e, and you know I've played enough to have developed some strong opinions about it. So sometimes you get into like debates with people and it can sound a little weird. Choose reactionary left rather than right now. Well, I mean, I feel like that's common. I think a lot of people I don't know. I think she fits right in with the online left. I feel like we're talking about her like that's some kind of fringe thing, which maybe it is, but I think a lot of people that I've experienced are like that. But I guess that kind of contradicts what I said, where she's less reactionary now. But I don't really know. I don't keep up with her. I hope that she's happy, and I hope that she doesn't harm people. That's all I care about. But I mean, you know, I think my experiences with the left online are also a big part of why I stopped, you know, focusing on politics. I mean, I guess it's, you know, half and half. I think maybe a lot of people may think when I say that politics is exhausting, I'm just talking about conservatives and stuff like that. But I'm also talking about leftists. It gets weird here on social media. Marshals or casters? I guess, I don't know. I like everything. I guess when I play, I like to play casters the most, because I like playing like utility casters like bards and clerics. Like I like playing healers and support type of characters. But most of the time I'm the dungeon master. That's the class that I play, is dungeon master, which I like. You know, it's fun to play every now and then, obviously, but I think I was born to run the game. I want to check out Pathfinder one of these days, though. I've never played it. I will say, at least with Shu, I haven't like watched her videos in a while. I used to, when I was on Twitter, I think we followed each other, and I saw her post a lot, and it seems better than before. So that's kind of my only, like, you know, back in the day during the whole sort of anti-feminism post Gamergate era, like I think that she was like one of the more, mainly just because she was so big. Like she was one of the most popular on that side, and I think like she was responsible for spreading a lot of pretty harmful ideas. It seems like it's better now. So I don't know how much better, or maybe it's just bad in a different way. I don't know. And I don't want to sound like moral high ground type of thing, because I don't think that I was perfect back in the day either, but there were certain, you know, I think there were certain ideas that got spread that weren't great. The Nanny or Three's Company? I don't know. Both of those are great shows. Maybe The Nanny. But both of those are great shows in my opinion. Open source, so accessible in terms of cache, very thorough rules. Yeah, I might check out Pathfinder one of these days if I can get some people to play. Do I watch Matt Colville or any other D&D YouTubers? I do watch Matt Colville. Matt Colville is cool. I've actually played D&D with him before. It was online, but still, that counts. And I follow some other people, like, I can't even remember. Dungeon Dudes. Ginny D. There's some other ones I can't remember the name, but yeah. There's a few that I follow. And then I watch a lot of actual play D&D. Like I watch Critical Role, I watch Dimension 20. I did watch Dice Camera Action. I haven't watched it in a while though. So yeah. I've considered making a D&D channel. I just don't know if I have enough content for that. Like I don't want to get everybody excited about a D&D channel and then not have any content to put on there. Dungeon Dudes, another one that sounds questionable out of context. Dungeon Dudes. They have a good channel though. They have, oh, also XP to level 3. That's probably like the best D&D channel out there. I can't believe I forgot them. But I think I really need to do something D&D related though, because it's like becoming part of the T1J lore that I'm into D&D, and it gets brought up all the time even when I don't bring it up. So I think that a lot of people would be interested in seeing more D&D related stuff from me. Just not exactly sure what to do yet. My cousin calls D&D virgin dice. Is that because it's like the first tabletop game people play? I don't know. There's a lot of people are like anti D&D, or not anti, but people are like, you know, there are other games, right? You know that there are better games. And I'm like, I haven't played a ton of different systems, but I've played different systems. I played Call of Cthulhu, I played Vampire the Masquerade, I've played Power by the Apocalypse, I've played Kids on Bikes. And I still like D&D the best, personally. Vampire is close. I love Vampire, but I've in my experience, I still like D&D the best. All right, y'all. I gotta end the stream. Vampire's so extra, yeah. It's really cool. I like it a lot. But yeah, it's been about 3.5 hours, and I actually do have stuff to do today. The sun just went down over here, so we'll go ahead and end the stream. Thanks for stopping by and chatting with me. I will stream again soon, but I don't really have a solid schedule. So if you want to, you can click the notification bell. It's up to you. But that's pretty much the only way to know when I'm live. I do plan to get an alert on my Discord. So if you want to, and I do want to plug my Discord. If you like this chill conversations like this, there's more where that came from in my Discord server. Just go. I'll put the link in the chat. Yeah. So if you want to chill and hang out, you can come hang out there. I'm pretty active on the Discord, at least in certain channels. So if you want to talk to me, that's probably the best way to do it. But outside of that, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. I almost clicked the be right back instead of the stream end.